Hey everyone, welcome to a special LCS edition TFT show match. I'm Azael, joined here by my man Mark Z.
Oh
what
boy,
up?
I am so excited. I've played this mode way too much, and I can't wait to finally get to cast. I think this is the first official cast ever. I can feel like I'm making history.
Yeah, you are making history. Hopefully just not in a bad way.
Yeah, so let's look back at this fondly, hopefully.
Yeah, I can confirm we've both been pretty degenerately spamming TFT. It has been pretty fun thus far, you know, seeing people experimenting, seeing people kind of figure out what works, what doesn't.
Is it hot in here?
I need a pep talk.
I'm about to
Is no one gonna give me a pep talk?
I need a fan.
Bros.
Can I get a pep talk of some sort?
Are you guys
You're
supposed
ready.
to give us
Yes,
the pep
dude.
Oh
talk?
my gosh.
This is your one moment in life, Steve, to basically prove that you're decent at any game.
Okay.
Oh my god. Everyone stand at the carousel and wait for me to pick my piece, okay? And then take your turn. Cheers.
Yeah, right.
Wait,
Something
that's
tells me
not
that's
how it
not how it works, right?
I don't even play the game.
Wait, so what's the best piece to pick on your parasol?
Oh my gosh.
The gray ones.
And
Carousel.
did you see how
And go.
so loud?
Oh, go, 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 go.
Oh my god, I gotta turn you guys down.
That's so wrong.
No,
But the players have already had the first carousel round, selecting their first champion alongside the first item. From what I've been seeing, most people really are kind of focusing on items as being more important in the early game, you know, in comparison to actually caring about what champion you're picking.
Yeah, I think it's still early to be like, this is how the meta is going to develop,
Yeah.
and they're rapidly making changes. But what we've seen so far, there was this brief period where recurve bow was broken, and everyone was going after recurve bow in the early rounds, and now it's stabilized a little bit, but a lot of people still favor in early carousels going for the items. I know Kobe has been preaching about Stark's favor, the thing that gives the AoE attack speed to everyone, which you need BF swords and giant belts to make. So you saw on his screen, already picked up the first thing he saw with a giant belt and got another one.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, double BF already here for Kobe. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are starting to really like BF as a starting item. You know, not only for the Starks, but, you know, obviously Spear of Shojin can be really effective on some champions. Bloodthirster can be really powerful on some of the carries here too.
If you do go IE as well for assassins, it's super strong because of how the crits stack up. When you get to 6 assassin, you start critting people for over 1,000 damage, and so we'll see what he ends up building here, because he can start building those Stark's favorite, or he can start going for the early IE. We'll see what he goes.
Yeah, Kobe's hitting the RNG pretty hard here. 4 items after the first 2 rounds. He's looking a little bit lucky. We'll see if that's gonna matter too much. But yeah, I mean, he can grab a Starks like early on. I think almost guarantees that you're gonna win streak. Pretty early in the game. But there are a bunch of players here joining us today. We got POBELTER from FlyQuest, TSM Reggie, we have Steve from TL, C9 Jack, ECHOFOXRICK, as well as Golden Guardians Contractz, and CLG's BIOFROST. Those are our 8 players.
Yeah, and I think we'll see who's the best. I know Kobe's been talking a lot about it, but I know Steve and Reggie in particular were also super hyped about it. They've been playing a ton throughout the PBE test phase, and we are in the last creep phase, so in a minute we'll get to start seeing people go off against each other and hopefully start committing to their build so we can see what people are actually running. Knights being probably the strongest general opener, that and Nobles are what people tend to prefer. So, you know, Kobe right now is deciding to go with the Noble opener. He took out his second Knight to try and get that extra armor and lifesteal. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, if you have that 3 Noble, you can see that Steve has also gotten that same buff. You know, being able to actually get that on the mobile buff on the correct person, you know, generally if you can get it on your Garen, especially at the front line, that can make it so incredibly difficult for anyone to actually deal enough damage to punch through that. But generally speaking, we're seeing mostly people just looking for, you know, a general front line. You create a front line and then you have some sort of a hyper carry, you know, in the back line, and we can see that's the same kind of strategy here that Steve is actually going for, and he's going up against Kobe. It's the Lucian actually that has the Noble buff for Steve. And
the Fiora.
Fiora does, yeah.
For Kobe. And this is one of the RNG elements of the Noble buff, is that it's kind of random who it goes on. And so sometimes if you get it on your frontline Garen, oh my god, I'm unstoppable. If it's the last unit left alive, you do run into some more problems. So Steve, unlucky that you get to start spamming the unluckies. You got all your excuses prepared.
Yeah, and I mean, Starks is also just insane, right? 20% attack speed for all 3 of those units is going to be your most effective early game item that you really can get. So, you know, kind of looking around the board, we are seeing a lot of that sort of Nobles strategy that people are going for. We're seeing some kind of assassins down here for Rick. You can see that he's, you know, grabbed up a Kassadin as well as this Kha'Zix, you know, has a Tristana too. So he's kind of just trying to focus on leveling up his characters. a lot of players, you know, there's kind of different ways on how you want to play the economy game, right? It's do you want to invest heavily in the early game and trying to kind of get a win streak going so you can be as powerful as you can early on, or do you want to try to save that money and kind of build up a stronger economy so you're getting more passive income and just try to kind of come back later?
Oh,
come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Take him out. Take him out. Come on.
Contractz.
Sit down, Kobe.
Remake, let's start over.
Oh, I got so excited. I just got lightheaded.
I'm in last place. This is not good.
Oh, baby.
You're gonna be first on the carousel.
I feel like I'm playing Counter-Strike. This is rough.
And so, you know, I personally love that level where you can take so many different approaches and all of them can work depending on how effectively you pull that strategy off.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that, you know, one of the strategies that I've really been liking is kind of tanking early to get first pick in the carousel.
Yep.
Because I think getting the correct item combination is so powerful, right? You know, as much as you may want to build that Zeke's, even if you start with a BF, if there's only one Giant's Belt on the carousel and you don't get it, then you may not be able to actually, you know, complete that sort of item combination. And that seems to be kind of, to me, what is the most powerful way to play the game, you know, that I've seen thus far. And here is Jack, who is sitting, you know, in last right now, so he is going to have the possibility of getting first pick at the carousel. He has a death cap, you know, sitting on the Braum, which isn't going to
Probably not going to stay there.
You know, the shield isn't gonna get amped up from that. But you know, having an early death cap, you could pop that over onto a sorcerer or something along those lines if you can draft that in the carousel round.
Yeah, unfortunately, he actually just ripped off a big win to Jack there, which it's going to bump him up in the standings a little bit right before the carousel round. So not going to have the thing to go first.
Wait. What kind of
Lucian, get it.
What kind of character is Aatrox?
No one better take my Lucian.
What kind of character?
Can I just take it?
Oh, that's just wrong. That's wrong.
You know, obviously the blue units being the most expensive, the most resale value. You know, white units costing 1, green 2, blue 3. Spatula, something that can also be very powerful if you can grab double spatula for Force of Nature. You get
Super strong
just
late.
an additional, you know, hero on the board essentially, which is, you know, worth so much gold when you think about level 8 to level 9. Like if you can get to late game, that's worth like 70 gold. That's insane.
Yeah, and if you do reach level 9, it is now worth an infinite amount of gold because you can't reach level 10 normally. Very funny there. Rick Fox feeling like he was struggling to decide what to pick. I sometimes get that when I go first because you have less time to think about what you want. So you get swarmed with all these options right away, and sometimes you get this decision paralysis that felt like, unfortunately for Rick Fox, he got hit with a little bit there. Jack is starting to try and pull his comp together. He's actually going for a pretty early level 5, all things considered. He wants to probably start going on a win streak here, given that he did spend that XP and kind of, you know, he's not earning any interest right now. That's the critical element that comes in with the economy is for every 10 gold that you have, you earn 1 extra gold up to a total of 5, or if you're at 50. And so, you know, him going in early is hurting his economy right now with the dream that you're going to win streak.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can get that win streak, you can kind of make up for that. But, you know, as of now, he just kind of has the 2-night bonus, so that isn't, you know, anything super powerful for him. You know, he does have a Varus, so he could look to transition into some Rangers, you know, look for that set bonus. Something a lot of people have been going for is kind of Glacial Ranger, but most of the builds that people are starting out with do amount in some sort of Knights and kind of frontline created there. There's a lot of different transitions that people can make then kind of very much based on just the hand that you were dealt, right? You have to get the most out of your composition that you essentially can with the cards that you are shown. We can also see here, looking over at BIOFROST. BIOFROST, you know, going pretty heavily nobles. He already has, you know, 4 of those nobles and, you know, is going to be looking towards that. You know, if you are able to get 6 nobles, you do win most games, but Kayle is such a late game, you know, champion. It's kind of very difficult sometimes to actually piece that together.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of Noble in general or Knights. Reggie going for a combination of Knights and leaving an option for Nobles. The general 2 comps that I've seen develop the most, I think, so far has been some kind of Ranger Knight combination, because there are a lot of inherent synergies with Phantom and Glacial and all these things you start picking up with Rangers, as well as this really complicated wild sorcerer dragon transformation thing.
Yep.
There's enough units there. With 8 units available, you get like 5 synergies, as well as a good combination of magical and physical damage. So we'll see if someone ends up going that build. But those are kind of the 2 most meta builds I feel like I've seen people winning on.
Yeah, definitely very strong. I think Imperial can also be quite strong. You know, if you can get a Draven with Imperial buff on it, can definitely get a lot of work done. We are now into the Krugs. It's pretty important to actually position your units effectively on this.
Yeah.
You want to have all of your units focusing down one of the Krugs at a time, because every time one dies, they all heal back up to full. So with the current positioning here from Reggie and not leveling up, there is a chance that, you know, he's kind of focus firing ineffectively and may actually end up having a little bit of trouble with that. But he does have, you know, 2 units at least hitting 1. His Garen could die. Like, if the Garen dies as this... he's okay.
He should be okay.
He has 4 level 2s, so he's going to be fine.
Well, we'll see, actually. This is starting to get dicey. So
Oh, actually, no. He might.
we'll see. I think he's okay now.
I think he's okay, yeah.
So what you should do is, if you have 3 melee, you want to put those on the right side, because
Exactly.
it's the best position to get 3 melees onto one quickly, and then you put your assassin on the left side that's going to jump over, and then you can do some combination of those things. Kha'Zix is a great unit for this because his isolation damage is super high. Luckily, he's had enough 2-tiered up units. You know, everything's silver right now, so he is powerful enough to take that despite some lackluster positioning. That's, I guess, the benefit of being in the first place right now.
Yeah, and having 4 tier 2 units, right? Because if you're not, you know, all kind of on these upgraded units, then it certainly can be more problematic. Taking a look here over at Contractz, more Knights. You know, one of the combinations that I've also really been liking, you know, a little bit later into the game is Phantom and as well as Guardian, because those are kind of 2 bonuses that are fairly powerful and easy to grab. You know, if you're going into Knights and then, you know, Rangers, if you're able to pick up something like a Kindred, Kindred plus the Mordekaiser essentially puts one of the units at kind of 1-hit range almost right off the start of the fight. You know, that is pretty powerful. And also Guardian can be a very effective front line that can sometimes allow you to transition into different types of kind of backline DPS.
Yeah, we see Kobe has completed double Sterix, or excuse me, Zeke's, and that's...
Or Stark's Fervor.
Stark's Fervor. There we go, we'll get there.
It's not in the game anymore, that's our excuse.
Yeah, that's why we can't remember. But it is super strong. You see, he's able to crush Contractz, who was in 2nd place, moving himself up. That's what he really prefers, and you get to see the power of it right there. Just everything gets so much extra attack speed, and it doesn't take any recurve bows. In the current meta, so many people tunnel on recurve bows that they miss these.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's 40% attack speed for all his units, and he has 2 Ranger bonus, which can proc additional attack speed on top of that. So, you know, you get to this point where you have the 25% chance to double your attack speed, doubling the 40% bonus. You're then getting 80% just from your aura on those 2 Rangers who start to attack insanely fast. There becomes some very powerful synergies also, you know, with Ranger Glacial, because then Ashe can proc that. You can build things like a Frozen Mallet to allow, you know, your Rangers to be proccing that Glacial stun on people pretty consistently.
And I find it really interesting what Contractz is doing here. He's spending a lot of gold early on to level up. So he's already level 6, much earlier in the game than I think a lot of people go right now. And, you know, it is only leaving him with 12 gold right now. So if he doesn't, when he loses to someone like Kobe, it's so painful because you're counting on that win streak, and you can potentially lose that just because of a mistake, you know, against someone else who's just got a little bit better itemization.
Yeah, exactly. And that's often why you only really want to commit to hard leveling and kind of going for that win streak if you got the right items, right?
Yeah.
Because you cannot control what items you get, you know, at the start of the game for the most part from the creeps. Yes, you can choose from the carousel. But, you know, if you hard commit to trying to push and win early game and someone has, you know, three Razor Blades or whatever, you're probably going to be losing early on.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the big thing and why people also prefer items in the carousels, because I can spend gold to reroll for champions. I can't spend gold to reroll for items. So I feel like it's personally a little better to base your comp on around what drops in the first couple creep rounds. POBELTER going for that kind of wild, transforming shapeshifter build, and we'll see he needs a Shyvana that he's going to want to pick up, and that will give him his 3 transforms. Then you need 1 more wild.
Yeah, and he's not actually grabbing the Rengar, so he could actually go for 4 wild. I'm not sure if this is just he wants to transition out of wild, so he's not grabbing it. That can be reasonable, but you could, you know, theoretically be selling something on your bench.
Oh. Nice.
Got all my veins.
Sorry, Lucian.
Oh, Jack just come around. No. I thought you had me, Andy.
No, miss. Keep missing. One more stun. That crit.
Shapeshifters you usually have is Nidalee, Shyvana, Gnar, and so you know, he might just be holding out towards then and saying like, my comp's fine right now. You know, he's in a relatively fine spot, so you know, he's at the bottom, which you don't mind being, like we said. It's not like you're in a bad spot because you're at the bottom. He has 40 gold. He has a fair amount of his comp online.
Yeah, exactly. He does have a fair amount of that comp online, and and is going to be okay for now. It's fine. You're essentially, I think, looking at health as a resource is a good way to kind of think about it. Where you can spend health to get a more powerful economy, but if you get too low in the later rounds, you can be taking 20 damage, 25 damage in a round, and we can see BIOFROST is actually at 29 HP already, and he's been spending, so BIOFROST is looking up against it.
To be fair to the LCS pros, they probably haven't had a chance to play too much. PBE is stacked. There's like 500,000 people in queue trying.
Blame him for not playing enough other games.
He's playing in the LCS. He's busy as hell. What do you want him to do?
Get his priorities straight.
Yeah, that comp's looking a little rough right there. Not quite sure what he wants to go for. His economy is at 50, so
okay. So he has been saving up.
So we'll want to track BIOFROST for a little bit here to see when he goes for what a lot of people refer to as their all in. You build up 50 gold. You kind of wait till you're on your last breath at the doorstep before you die, and then you blow all of your gold to power up your comp as much as you can to stay alive in the game.
Yeah, and that can be very powerful. He does kind of have this strategy with the frontline Lucian where he's trying to have it die and then proc redemption on his whole team. But Lucian dashes away, and you can see him laughing as the Lucian dies in the corner.
It doesn't get anything! No, BIOFROST.
I mean, it's a thought that counts, right?
All right, he's not dead yet, but he's at the point where that was against POBELTER. If he goes up against one of the top-rated players, he will take more damage. So this is probably the time where he's going to want to. I love the emotes too. That's something I love so much about Teamfight Tactics is the ability to laugh in people's face, to enjoy the fact that you have a churl build and they get to laugh with you. If something really crazy happens, some huge glacial stun that just keeps someone perma-CC, you get to rage, and they get to see you very upset. I mean, it's so gratifying, the interactivity on these boards.
Yeah, I mean, the most one for me by far is actually the little mole, because you can do the grave digger emote.
Oh, yeah.
Digging out the rips.
Penguin dab tilts me so bad. Woo! Like that noise, I can't stand it anymore.
It's definitely pretty funny. So Rick here has fully spent out, so he is level 6. He's kind of sitting, middle of the pack right now. But my big concern for him is that he doesn't have any of the synergies, right? He doesn't have any of the kind of bonuses here right now, which does make you a lot weaker. So if you're going to full spend, he's going up against actually a pretty powerful board here. It looks like as Steve already has a Force of Nature, and is going to have an additional unit because of that, and he has a level 3 Vayne. So one of the kind of interesting strategies that a lot of people have been talking about is, as you get higher level, there's a lower chance of rolling into lower cost units, such as a 1-cost Vayne. So what some people are doing now is, right before they hit level 5, they will save up all their gold, and then they will actually spam reroll to try to power up these 1-cost units into level 3 and try to make them super powerful. Whereas Kobe here has just been saving all this money. He is sitting pretty. He's actually in first place, and he has 62 gold. He's level 6. Things are looking really good.
He
for
better
Kobe.
win this. He has played so much more, I bet, than anyone else. He was in the early playtest group with a group of influencers.
You're right, dude. You can do this.
Oh, wow.
Wait, they jumped on the front.
Oh, wait. What?
All right, give me some loot.
Oh, wow.
Kobe, you baited me, dude.
Come on. Oh, my gosh.
It's a belt and
I got
BF
2
sword, Mike.
spatulas. Wow.
Yes,
I got
Yo,
good
what should I
item.
put Static Shiv on? Should I put on a Vayne or what's the fastest stack?
I
died.
Oh, you died already?
I haven't won a single round.
Oh,
that's not good.
Vincent.
Which character hits the most?
Alright, dude.
Bye, guys. Good luck.
All right, I'm here with BIOFROST, our first loser for the Teamfight Tactics show match, out in 8th place, getting Dyrus by the Wolves. What happened in that last round, Bio?
I think I definitely lost the fastest way possible. Like there was no, it's like reverse first place. I was so bad.
All right, to be fair, you did share with me that you haven't had a chance to play much of this game because, of course, you must prepare for your LCS matches, and City is doing pretty well right now. How much did you get to play Teamfight Tactics before today?
I played one game, and it clearly showed. My tag was off of player 1, and I was probably the worst player.
Glacials, Knights, the Ranger bonus, very, very strong from the side of Kobe, and we've rigged this show match as much as we can for him because
we gave him the items he wanted.
We've been feeling pretty bad. He keeps losing all the show matches, so we're trying our best to help him out.
And Contractz up to level 7 now, so he's committed to this fast level strategy that he has. He's gotten sorcerers online so far, as well as having, it's only, even though you have 4 knights on the board, it's only unique units that count towards those set bonuses. And so he is 1 away from grabbing the 4 knight bonus, but he does have them all, tier 2. So it is a pretty strong board.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He actually decided to go there, for the magic resistance item. The Dragon's Claw, I think it's called. It does make you extremely tanky against that magic damage, but Kobe is going to be dealing mostly physical damage here, so could be tough there. Checking back in here at Rick Fox, he's
on his
very
way out.
low on health, and he's getting slammed on this board. I think that is a for sure death, but he beat BIOFROST.
That is true.
And that's the important thing here.
He outplaced a pro player, Rick Fox, finishing 7th place.
And it was easy, too.
It was easy.
It was easy to beat BIOFROST.
It was easy. He didn't have any synergies, and he still outplaced BIOFROST. At the very end, he had some demons online going for that mana burn, but spread a little too thin for Rick Fox, so unfortunately, he is on the way out.
Yep, he is going to be going out in 7th place.
Rick, what happened, man?
The game got moving really fast, and then I was actually looking at my sheet, and I couldn't read it. The print was too small. And then I got bullied by Reggie on my right and Jack on my left and Steve further down. But I had a little success here and there, but I got to go back to the drawing board.
To be fair, I did hear you probably the loudest of any player I could hear. I'm right here, the stage is behind me, and you were giving out all the trash talk, which had to be fun to kind of rib those guys.
It was. I got a lucky win against Kobe, and I thought I was going to get one against Steve. I got one against Jack. These are all, obviously, they're still out on stage, so I don't get to really have any trash talk anymore.
And of course, I've heard a lot about your adventures down in Iron, but are you planning on maybe giving TF2 a go as well when it comes out on live?
Yeah, now that I get a sense of what it is, my son was giving me a lot of coaching. I wish he could have been behind me today, but yeah, it's fun. It actually will give me a greater knowledge of the champions and what they can do, and so that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, well, unfortunate loss today, but thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for trying.
Teamfight Tactics.
6 people on the board are going for Rangers and Glacial. Well, then it's very hard for them to actually get all the pieces that they want and need for their sort of composition, as that is a Swain with a full BT. That's actually insane value for POBELTER.
As you get later in the game, the items sometimes come completed in the carousel round.
The comeback mechanic.
So there you go. He's able to grab a BT by itself. The Swain also sells for 5 gold, so that's basically as good as you can hope for. Hopefully that's enough to start catapulting him back into the game.
And he already has the 3 shapeshifter bonus, right? So, he's going to be able to actually utilize the Swain with that. So Swain can be actually quite powerful on a board like this because you have the wild kind of, but I don't know if you want to give up 4 wild.
Right, this is tough now because if you're going to get rid of anything, it would probably be the Shyvana, so you can keep the wild bonus, but the Shyvana is 2-star, or tier 2, excuse me, so it's...
I think you need to level and then wait until you have an additional level. Also, when you're this low, you want to use those items. He has 4 items sitting on
just put him on anything
board.
at this point. You can't afford to die.
Yeah, because one more, Kobe's actually just going to kill him.
Oh, not again. All right, just don't kill me, all right? Oh, God.
Oh, that's set.
Why do I keep having to face Kobe?
He got off.
Wait, you actually put the Swain in. I thought you were going to sell it for the BT.
Wait, am I dead?
Contractz, why are you so
you're
strong?
dead.
Oh,
You should have sold the Swain for the gold and the
Jesus.
BT. You're alive. What is
Shield enough. I wasn't confident in it, but he is actually just barely alive. Him and Jack are in a tight battle for 6th place right now, or I guess technically 5th. They're fighting for 5th.
POBELTER has 2 more full items he could complete, though, so he's definitely got to get those going. Over here at the top of the table, we got Contractz. He's got 5 sorcerers, so he's looking for 6 sorcerer bonus. That is an extremely powerful jump when you hit there. That is plus 120 AP to the team. It becomes incredibly strong if you can get, a good sorcerer type carry. He has right now the Rageblade on his Vygar, so that is kind of where he's depending. And you can have this Vygar stacking up his ultimate quite quickly, and becomes very, very powerful in the later stages.
Literally, the top dog.
What did I miss?
Oh,
I had a
God.
chance.
No, my Darius taking his ulti off.
Lucian.
Oh, I'm coming
actually, I
back. I'm
just
coming
wrecked
back.
Kobe.
I'm coming back. Oh,
Oh my
no.
god, I'm getting stopped by
Never mind.
everyone.
I miscalculated.
Oh,
What the hell? I just beat Kobe.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Holy yes!
Take him out, man.
Take him out!
Both able to stay alive, and they make it to the next creep round, which is so important because in the creep round, you can not need to spend your economy to stay alive.
But remember, BIOFROST then is faithful
That's true.
deal with the Wolves. No one's safe, Mark.
If you got to this point in the game without dying, you're probably not going to die to the creeps. We'll see what happens.
Ooh.
But you can get more items here as well as save up your extra gold to get a little bit more. It's always important to save on a creep round.
Yeah, and POBELTER, though, you know, he is actually spending, but he has used all his items now. So now he has this Reliant Soul sitting in the back, and he does have, you know, a lot of items on it. I think it also would have been a totally fine choice to actually put those items on the Shyvana, which is a level 3 Shyvana, and that can actually act as your primary carry as well. You know, I tend to think that, you know, having that level 3 Shyvana certainly would have made it worthy of kind of that carry role, as he will clear up the chickens.
We'll see what he tries to do because he actually has 2 Aris. I would agree with you and say it's worth selling the Ari that has all the items on it. Put the other 2 star Ari in, and then put those items on.
Make it the Mega Shyvana.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this game is about establishing who your hyper carry is going to be. Every comp is going to have one unit that you want to slap every item on that you have to power it up. So if it's Aurelian Soul, it's about getting the AP and the mana on him so he can keep ulting time and time again and carry you. If you have Imperials and Draven, you want the attack speed items on him, and it's about getting those items on your carry. So yes, Ari was great in the mid game POBELTER, but you got to move him over to the Shyvana here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a level 3 Shyvana, which is also a more expensive unit, so it's much more powerful than that level 2 of the Ari, which is also a 2-cost unit. So here he is, though. He's going to be going up against Steve, who does have, it looks like actually quite a powerful setup. You can see he has the Spear of Shojin Morgana, and Morgana Ultimate, you know, is very powerful if it can be in the middle of the team.
Oh!
That's going to be it.
Maybe going to regret not moving those items over, but at the end...
What the Contractz? What the
Darius threes,
What the
1v90.
I had him dead and he got all his health back.
You actually had an insane combo.
Why? Why? I thought I had him.
Oh my god.
Po, what was your strategy coming into this show match?
I was going for Wild and Dragon Shapeshifter synergy with buffing up my Aurelian Soul. That was my strat.
How you feeling after bowing out at 5th?
I'm pretty happy I didn't go last. So, but I had a great time. It was really fun.
Have you played a lot of TFT kind of before the show match?
Like 3 games before coming in and a few games last night. I was trying desperately to understand how the game works, and I think I got a pretty good hang on the most basic stuff, so I didn't embarrass myself.
But there's more to the game than that. It's how close are you to hitting your upgrades as well? How much gold do you have? And so, as well as when does your comp turn online? Elementalist is a relatively late game comp because you need a 4-star unit to get there in Brand, but once you have it, it's such a strong frontliner that often can protect you for so long. So you see against these assassins here, he's actually going to be able to stay alive and take down...
That's Reggie, yeah. Reggie running the assassins. And you know, Elementalist can actually be very good against assassins because Daisy is so tanky that if the assassins are actually hitting the Daisy, they waste so much time. You can see Reggie here with a 6 assassin, 1 ninja bonus. I would say that actually positioning against assassins is probably the most important as far as when you are positioning against them. That becomes very, very big. Some of the other AoE ultimates also can be quite important.
I think assassin is actually the most position-dependent comp. I actually think what you want to do usually is put a frontliner all the way on the back line so the enemy has to displace, because assassins go invisible. They won't draw any aggro early on. So if he moves this Poppy to the back line, the enemy units will step forward, then your assassins have more room to reach their back line. And similarly, like you were saying, the other opponent wants to put something tanky in the back line to distract. We'll see if this actually works out. You see, they're not able to get to the Aurelian Soul because there was not enough unit displacement based off his positioning.
Yeah, exactly, which does make it, you know, pretty difficult for him to try to push through. But he is going up against Contractz here. He will get absolutely smacked down. That could be it. Yeah, Reggie going to be going out in 4th.
All right, I'm here with Reggie, who bowed out in 4th in the TFT show match. Reggie, you don't seem too happy about the finish.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. I played, you know, this type of game before. Actually played Dota a lot, and I was super excited for TFT just because, like, watching the streams and just looking at how the game is, it just looks like a lot. It's definitely a much higher quality game, right? And so I thought that I could pull some of the fundamentals that I've learned in the other game, and the transitions for this is just a lot different. And so, you know, it's hard, but super fun.
Did you have a certain strategy in mind that you wanted to go for, or were you kind of willing to see what the game gave you?
Yeah, so I think the overall strategy is just to level up your pieces right early on, and then kind of just build your comp around the pieces that you're given. And I was put in a position where I was winning a lot early, and I should have definitely won that game had I known how to play the game better, just because I was lucky enough to win the first 10 rounds right in a row. But what I did wrong was that I actually didn't put in the right pieces to tank. And this game is really simple and fun. All you need to do is build tanks and build DPS behind. And I mispositioned my tanks, and that's one of the reasons why I lost.
The Ashe ult is nice, but she really shines through her glacial synergy, which he doesn't have right now. So we'll see if that's going to end up working out. And he's unfortunately against Contractz, who
he's getting slammed.
With magic damage, it's so strong versus Nobles because Noble only gives armor. It's not MR, but that was a really nice Kindred ultimate to keep people alive.
Yeah, they are. You know, you can see how tanky they get against the auto attacks, but once that Aurelion Sol ultimate comes up, and Kobe's A health, the show match curse mark.
No, I cursed him. He needs to get his Kindred. Oh, his Kindred is already 2-starred. So this is the really difficult thing. Kindred can work as a counter a little bit to Sorcerers by keeping people alive through the first rotation, but he needs more damage to back it up.
I think you just have to go all in for the level 2 KO. You need to say, okay, what can I upgrade the quickest right now? What is the most power I can get? A health, I think you spend out. I would say you're never getting, you're going to use those Garants. You're not using the level 2 Vayne. You're never going to complete a level 3. So I would be spam rerolling here for the level 2 Kale and trying to just max out as much power as you can get right now. You know, seeing if there's any other adjustments you can make. You could look for something like a Braum for a Guardian bonus. Could be good as well for the MR.
Yeah, and he's going up against, this is actually Steve's board, which is the Elementalist board, as well as having a couple Sorcerers, so it's not quite as much magic damage. We'll see if the Noble buff is enough to protect him. He did an interesting positioning thing where he puts units...
Oh, MF ult.
Oh, it's in the Kindred, though, so it's going to be able to keep the Ashe alive. The other Kindred ult's going off as well. I think Kobe actually wins this and is going to stay alive.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much work this Vayne can get done. Has the Gunblade, but Gunblade, you know, is a percentage healing on abilities. He's also dodging so much with this Phantom Dancer. Oh my God, it's healing.
The crit dodge. All right, I think he's okay from here.
He's got it, yeah.
So what I was saying is the positioning he had was really interesting. You put 2 units off to the right side, which against Contractz, if Contractz doesn't reposition his board, will grab the aggro first, and you're hoping the ults go on those people. So Kobe trying to get some, you know, basically spreading out. You have this item that makes you want to clump up with the Stark's Fervor, yeah. But unfortunately, your opponent is great versus clumped up opponents. So a little bit of a counter build came through, and Contractz looks very well positioned to actually win this game. It feels almost like a battle for second right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if Kobe can make any sort of a transition or get something that can kind of turn it around. You know, they are now going into the Dragon phase. You certainly want to be spread for this. If you do have a CC heavy comp, these are super trivial. Like if you have a lot of Glacial or that sort of thing, the Dragon doesn't even move. But they put out a ton of damage, so it is possible to actually lose these rounds. And
it's very hard. It's very hard for Sorcerers.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
This. Yeah. And
he's dead.
This is no, like, we made fun of other people. No shame for Contractz. This is just basically like you got counter comped by the NPC. If you have
countered by the dragon.
Countered by the dragon. If you have units, you can sometimes, you know, swap them around. But at this point in the game, he's relatively all in on Sorcerers.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes people do like to get some sort of, you know, CC in it. You know, whether they can try to grab it through something along the lines of a Leona. You know, like Leona plus Braum can be very strong, even just because it's that 2-man.
There's his Leona upgrade.
He did get a Leona upgrade there. He still has not gotten the Kale. Again, I still think, like, you know, for a 1-cost unit, you're never going to get 3 more Vaynes. So just sell the tier 2 Vayne, sell the Garans, you know, dig for rerolls, pray that you can get another upgrade. But it's all going to be down to this round here for Kobe. He's going up against Steve, who has a Stark's Fervor of his own now, and it's looking good for Steve.
Yeah, Steve's in a really good spot. The MF ult is actually going for that kind of displaced unit.
I'm positioning for a POBELTER, but I keep getting Steve.
POBELTER? You think I'm POBELTER?
Contractz. No, I'm gonna lose. Oh, God. Come on, eliminate him.
Oh my God, that Kindred ult. Through the brand ult. Oh, I think you're gone.
I'm dead.
Oh,
yes.
All right, I'm here with Kobe, third in the TFT show match. The curse continues. Kobe, what happened?
I hard tunneled on Nobles because I got a KO super early, like round 6 or something. So I wanted to force it, but Aurelion Sol is in the meta right now. Too much.
Did you have a pre-prepared strategy that you were trying to go for coming into the game?
I mean, the first thing I wanted to abuse is Stark stacking because it's super OP right now. They nerfed attack speed items, and Starks you can have multiple on the same person. But I tunneled super hard on the Nobles, you know, stacking them all around Vayne, and did not want to pivot. That's not advised.
I like the fact that he spread horizontally rather than clumped up, so there's hopefully less pass-through damage from the Aurelion Sol ultimate. The Kindred's in a little bit of a weird spot on the left side, might not be able to make the most use of that ultimate, but the
Karthus. Oh, that was actually a really big Kindred ultimate, though. It denied a lot of that. This is going to be really close. I think The Kindred might win this. Oh, it's going to channel. Is it going to go?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that was actually so close. I thought Kindred might have been able to kill before the ultimate finished channeling. That was insanely close.
Yeah, Contractz barely able to squeak it out there. We'll see what he does. Ends up putting in, he's already at 6 Sorcerer, so you can pull the Vyguard out and put in the second Brilliant Soul. This is kind of what I was saying with the Kale thing earlier. Sometimes it's better to just put in 2 of your strong units rather than, you know, a slightly extra bonus in some regard.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think, you know, in this case, I would be selling the Vygar, putting the Rage Blade on that, and then putting your other tier 2 Vygar in, right?
Yeah, that's actually smart.
Something like that, I think, you know, is an optimization because the Aurelion Soul is the stronger carry, you know, has the Ludens on it, so you generally want to amplify that. You can see a nice spread here, though, as trying to be that answer to the Sorcerers, and we'll see if it's going to work out for Steve, who, you know, does kind of have some very powerful ultimates in his
It's looking pretty good for him. There's the Aurelion Soul.
Oh,
that's the first one, but
just shredded him.
Oh yeah, that's gonna do it. There's no way the Vayne's gonna be able to take out these 3. This might not be enough damage to kill him. Yeah, he barely squeaks alive, and we'll be heading to another carousel round where he might be able to find something to save him.
I mean, Steve is gonna have to kind of pray that he can really change something up, though, because you know there's not a lot I feel like that he can do. Contractz could grab another Aurelion Soul if he wanted. You can also, in positions like this, if you look at their board,
know what they
you can
want.
try to deny a big thing for them. So if he's like 1 away from a tier 2 Swain, you could grab that Swain and try to deny it. Item combinations can also be very powerful at this point in the game. You know, if you have something, say, to combine, you know, with that null, I think that can be pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I think you saw them both going for the Aurelion Soul, not actually using it.
Time to spend out, Steve.
Just trying to stop him from getting it. I think you should swap the Kindred to the closer side so it can build its ultimate faster and have more units around it. I would swap probably the Kindred and the Vayne here, but it's super tough to decide what to do. He could have grabbed an Anivia for a different Elementalist to get there instead of the Lissandra, who can be a little weak in the late game, but didn't quite have enough time to swap it in there.
Yeah, it does get very tough. You know, some of these late game turns become very difficult because you have to go so fast and make a lot of difficult decisions, but I think this is going to be it for Steve. It's looking like we may have our champion here. Contractz doing a lot, but the Vayne is actually surviving. We'll see if it gets burst down. Oh, the Aurelion Soul didn't get its ult.
Yeah, the Kindred had a really nice ult. The last Lulu ult on this one. Oh, the splash damage.
Oh my god, he just got erased. It looked like he was going to win, but the penguin dab coming through. Contractz is our TFT show match champion.
All right, I'm here with Steve, second in the Teamfight Tactics show match. So close. Now, Steve, I heard you have played an unreal amount of TFT coming into the show match.
They like to say that because I came in second and almost won, but I put in a good amount, maybe 20 games. It's a healthy amount, yes. I came prepared to win.
The first ever TFT champion. It is my honor, sir, to present you with this trophy. So you finished in first. What? It's like a finger trophy. All right, so you told me before this, and I just talked to Steve. He said he played about 20-ish games of this before that, which is obviously like actually 80. Yeah. How many games did you play before this show match?
Maybe like 4 to 5 games, but I have history in like the genre, so I think I had the edge in that regard. Although Kobe, he's really good at these kind of games, so I'm pretty surprised he didn't get top 4 or like top 2, I mean.
Yeah, do you think something happened with his strategy maybe that kind of let that down, or maybe just the dice let him down this time?
Yeah, maybe it's because of RNG, maybe it's because I'm just a lot better than him. I mean,
you know, it's better jungler, better TFC play, it kind of makes sense to me. Contractz, what was your strategy kind of coming into the show match?
I kind of just had to pick with what I got. I felt like going Knights early game is probably the way to go, just for some early game like pressure, so you don't like lose every kind of round. It seems like Garen and Darius are really strong with their ultis and items. And then after that, I kind of just transitioned to Sorcerers. I feel like once you have like a solid front line in early game, I think you can transition to that pretty easily. And yeah, Acel is really broken. So I had two star Acels at the end of the game. So kind of high rolled that a little bit.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of people say Aurelion Soul is good, and you were clearly the player with all of them there. I have to ask you, obviously, you know, you have scrims to do, practice, LCS games to play, but we'll be seeing you often in the TFT queues when time allows.
Oh yeah, when time allows, for sure. You can catch me there.
Do you think you'll play more TFT than watch anime?
Actually, I haven't watched anime that much recently. I know I've been in the TFT queues, you know.
All right, good. Congratulations on your win today. Thank you so much for chatting to me. And for that is going to wrap up our first ever TFT showcase.